Welcome back to the Coaches Show. I'm Brian Stanley. Joining me, as always, your head coach of the Mission Prep Royals, David Schuster. Coach, how you doing this week on campus?
Doing great. It's homecoming week. Everyone's having a party. It's Barbie Day today, so everyone's dressed up in pink. So really enjoying it.
You're not doing your best impression of Ken today. I'm sorry, Coach. I'm not feeling the Ken vibe.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of pink in my wardrobe.
It's all right, Coach. We'll let you slide on this one. It's Barbie Day on campus. Let's talk about a tough one. The Mission Prep Royals falling to the Arroyo Grande Eagles 10-3. The battle of the two undefeated Mountain League teams in Mountain League play. Royals struggled to move the ball on the ground, Coach, against the Eagles, finishing with a total of 81 yards between 6 rushers. Talk about this game and just how tough it was against that big defensive line of the Eagles.
Yeah, it was it was a very competitive game. I felt like unfortunately we weren't really able to control much of the game. And we were kind of in a reactive state most of the game, which you got to tip your hat to AG. They kind of dominated a number of things up front, especially against our offensive line. And so it made it tough for us to really kind of stay engaged in the game. I felt defense and special teams did an incredible job. They were kind of, they're back against the wall most of the night. Um, and outside of our first drive and then our first drive in the second half, those two drives were the only two where I felt like we got anything going. Um, and then, AG just played, you got to give them credit. They played really good defense. They were fundamentally sound. They were in all the right gaps. They were, kind of a lot of our offensive line was receiving a lot of the contact. They weren't really dictating physicality or tempo up front. We weren't controlling any of our gaps. It makes it very hard to run our offense and have any sort of success when that's kind of what's going on. And then you eventually start having to pass a little bit, and most of our passes at that point became pretty predictable for them. It was they just put us in a tough spot offensively. So you gotta give them full credit there. So I will still I still will say that I can't begin to express how proud I am of the team, the mindset of the team, even when it wasn't going our way. There wasn't bickering on the sideline. There was active problem solving and active communication, and everyone actively trying to find something that was going to work with this really young group on offense, especially. And so, and defense continued to make great plays. We had a couple of blocked field goals. A number of big stops, and it felt like we really in the second half did a much better job of being able to kind of kill a lot of the stuff they were trying to do. It wasn't perfect. They still were moving the ball a little bit, but we really were able to kind of slow down a number of drives that they had. And I think, it just felt like two out of our three phases of the game played great football, and our third phase, never really got going. And it's tough to win a championship game when that's the case. So, got to give them credit. We respect AG, and they're not necessarily our favorites, and but they won the game. They dominated the game, and they deserve the title. They've clearly been the best team in our league, and kind of wish them all the best moving forward. So.
And you talk about the passing game. Thomas Glenn, the sophomore quarterback, 70 yards, including a 53-yard completion to Luke Terry. You say passes were a little predictable. Don't think that one was, because that's some big yardage right there, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the two blocked field goals coming by way of senior captain Connor Lopez, making those big blocks, keeping the game tight and keeping it in reach, because that's 6 points that he kept off the board for the squad. And that changes the game quite a bit. As you kept the Eagles off the board in the second half, it was 10-3 going into the locker room. And that second half, your defense just dug in as deep as they could and kept the Eagles off the board and didn't let them soar. So a lot of props to that defense.
Yeah, again, it just kind of feeds right into the warrior mentality that this team has. Even in a loss, this team was actively engaged throughout the whole time, and it was one of those where you could kind of see. I'll say this, man, that AG squad this year, that's one of the most complete teams I think I've ever seen. From top to bottom, they got great depth, they've got great size and tremendous physicality at every single position, and made it very difficult for us to have any sort of success. And I was still incredibly proud of, I mean, we suited up 23 kids on varsity. I think they had 76 at one point was what we counted. And our 23, man, they rallied, they were engaged, they were doing some incredible things on the field, and they put us in a position there. And, with 5 minutes left, we get the ball back. And as terrible as we played on offense, and I take full responsibility for that. I think, I didn't necessarily put the team in the best position in a number of situations. We still, with 5 minutes left, with, this tiny little tough squad that we got, still had a chance to go try to drive down and win the game. And we had full intentions of that drive being like, yeah, this is the drive. We're going to go win the game right now. And so, I just was really, really proud of this group, and I continue to be, and just feel very much like this is a little bit of a different squad than I think what people are used to, and kind of a little bit more of a return back to those first couple of years, man. They're really tough mentally and physically, and they're doing some great things. And so a lot of lessons learned. It was a intense environment, hostile environment, very personal environment for a number of kids. And I think those are good lessons learned for playoffs and for high intensity games like that. Kennedy was like that last year. St. Joe's was like that. It'll probably be like that again here in 2 weeks. And then if we ever make it, Lord willing, to a CIF title game, that atmosphere will be similar. So I think it was a good lesson learned for the kids about how you have to handle that first half, and some personal mistakes that we made on the field where linemen are stepping the wrong way, running back stepping the wrong way, and it's like in championship games, man, you can't be making those mistakes. So proud of the team, proud of the focus of the team this week. They're angry, and that makes me happy. And so just feel like the team's in a great spot mentally, and doing a number of great things off the field just to make sure that they put themselves physically and mentally in the position to be successful. So very happy.
Well, Coach, you talked about the number of players you suited up, 23. While I was setting up in the press box, somebody mentioned to me that AG's early warm-up squad was deeper than your full roster that was already on the field warming up, that they presented 35 guys just in early warm-ups, and it was already more than your roster size. So kudos to your squad for digging deep and keeping a score that could have been really ugly if they would have given up in this game and just let the Eagles walk all over them. But they just kept fighting on defense.
Yep.
So kudos to them. And that brings us to our player of the game, presented by Farmers Insurance agent Jennifer White. We named him, after the game, thanks to Jennifer White. And that was Connor Lopez for his 2 blocked field goals plus his tremendous defensive effort, leading the defense as a captain. And now, Coach, we got homecoming. You've already mentioned it. Final home game of the season. Things a little backwards. We've already had senior night in the final home game of the 3-game homestand. And now we're having homecoming on the final home game of the year. And what is the theme for homecoming this year? Is there a theme?
It's a different
put you on the
theme.
spot here.
I know you are putting me on the spot. I can't remember actually. There's a different theme every day, and
are they doing floats, or are they doing anything like that at the?
Yeah, they're doing a bunch of stuff. I'll be totally honest. Like, I'm so locked in on my job and the game plan, and I never ever see homecoming anyway. We're always, so, with all due respect, and I realize, I apologize to the community. I cannot remember. I know today's Barbie because there's pink everywhere. Yesterday was jerseys and jungle, and
we'll just say go team.
Yeah, go Mission Prep.
Let's move on, Coach. Let's talk about the homecoming game at hand. It's a Mountain League contest. The Righetti Warriors come to town. They are 1-7, 0-5 in the Mountain League. They're under first-year head coach Russ Pickett, riding a 6-game losing streak. But this team, I think, is a little unpredictable because I don't know if we've seen their full potential yet, as 5 of their 7 losses have been within 7 points.
Yeah.
Talk about what they bring to the table as an opponent in Spanos Stadium.
Yeah, there's a great deal of respect that we have for Righetti. They are, I don't know how to explain this other than every time we've played like Pioneer Valley or Santa Maria High School, any of the Santa Maria schools, it's always been an absolute. Most of the time, it's been a dogfight, and so we certainly expect that to be the case again this time. Righetti is a very physical team, new program. You can see they're doing a number of new things across the board. A lot of QB run, and a lot of power football. So we're excited for that physical challenge, especially coming off of AG. And I think, the boys just feel a sense of, kind of wanting to reestablish themselves on the field a little bit. But they're physical, man, and they're tough. And like you said, they've been in almost every league game that has been a very, very close game. It's been hard fought. And even with the exception of one game, even the one game where they lost more than 7, it was really, really close most of that game. And then, that other team sort of pulled away late. So I think Righetti's doing a lot of really good things. You can see the kids have good energy on the sideline, even though the season hasn't necessarily gone their way. And I do remember, and the kids all do. We have a very, very distinct memory of us beating AG last year and then coming into Righetti the next week, and we were flat. The coaching staff was flat. The kids were flat. We were dead the whole game. And with about like 5 minutes left, I think we're up by 1 point or we're losing by 1 point or something. I can't remember. And I just remember everybody on the sideline going like, what? You got one game like that every year where just like nothing's clicking. No one has energy or juice. Felt like the Poma was probably that game for us, but I'm concerned that if we're not careful, Righetti could be that game again for us last year, and everyone remembers that, and so that's where I think I'm very pleased and proud of the team and the steps that they've been actively taking on their own, and the senior leadership and the way they've been actively encouraging everybody to make sure we're not repeating that type of a game. So just it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be very competitive, and I know we're also excited to get back on the field and kind of get AG out of our mouth there a little bit. So
that brings us to our segment where we talk about our followings on Twitter X. I still don't know what to properly call it anymore, but I'm Stanley on Sports. Coach Schuster, Coach_D Schuster. The Prep Sports Network is the Prep SN. Mission Prep Football, MCP Football. You can follow us all on Twitter X there. If you're watching us here on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. We'd much appreciate that. Our next coaches show is coming up next Wednesday. It's going to be the 25th of October, just before Halloween. And this Friday from Alex G. Spanos Stadium, Mustang Memorial Field, your Mission Prep Royals host the Righetti Warriors of Santa Maria. And Coach, I want to let you know, Santa Maria, we're built a little bit different.
Yeah, it's been every Santa Maria game we've had. I think with one exception, it's been a tough game, man. So got great respect for kids from Santa Maria, and they're tough kids, man, and they get after it. And I think they kind of embrace that physicality, and that's kind of all those schools down there. So I enjoyed competing against them, and I'm certainly excited for Friday.
It's going to be a great matchup, Coach. It's going to be live right here on PSNtv. Kickoff scheduled for 7 p.m. from Alex G. Spanos Stadium, Mustang Memorial Field. Your Royals versus the Righetti Warriors. Coach, any final words before we depart?
No, it's homecoming, and we're real excited to kind of get after it. I know that we're going to have all football alumni are welcome to come. We're going to do devotion. over at Parish Hall, and then we'll have team meal over there as well, and all the football alumni from any year, they're all welcome, and we'd love to have them all come join us for that, and then hope to see everybody out there at the stadium. It's going to be a really good environment.
I'd really like to see that home side filled up this Friday night against the Righetti Warriors. That'd be a great way to conclude this regular season at Spanos Stadium, filling those bleachers for the first time from end to end. We can do it. It's homecoming, plenty of room. What do you think, Coach?
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Let's do it. Until next week, I'm Brian Stanley for David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.